Greetings, salutations, hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats. Breathe in, breathe out. It is a lovely Saturday afternoon here in Ventura, California. We're sitting by the window. There's a whole bunch of butterflies outside. Steve is having the time of his life. You know what would be better than anything else is just to take a nice, relaxing dive into that tranquil waters of the Saturday, relaxing, comfy tabletop role-playing game news. No yelling, no screaming, no finger pointing, no name calling, no blaming the OSR for everything that's wrong with your life. Just take a look at what's going on. Top story, we finally have some new news from Tales of the Valiant. Announced this morning, pretty much, the alpha release. Now you might be asking yourself, what's an alpha release? And I'm going to tell you, because I don't know either. After a flurry of playtest packets and thousands of feedback submissions, it's time for the alpha release of Tales of the Valiant. The alpha release lets you play Tales of the Valiant at home months before the full rules are released. Inside the 176-page PDF, you can find all the rules you need to make a character, 4 classes up to level 5, weapon options, magic item pricings, fable magic items, equipment, spells, talents, etc. The alpha release goes out to the Kickstarter backers Monday, along with an introductory adventure, and the alpha release will be available for purchase and download on the Cobalt Press website and drive-thru. It's PDF only, no hardback. I would have liked a hardback or a softback. Next week, we'll open the backer kit to the public. Both the alpha release and Caverns of Spore Lord Adventures will be available for add-on during the pre-orders process. And in 3 weeks, look for us at Gen Con. And that's all we have. So it's a 177-page PDF. It's basically reads sort of an extended quick start rules. You only get up to level 5, but so it's somewhere between a quick start rules set and the example blocks. Because the example box will come with a dumbed down version of the rules. It'll come with an adventure, but it'll come with pre-generated characters. This one comes with no pre-generated characters, it sounds like, but rules to make your own. So I guess alpha release is somewhere in the evolution line between quick start and starter box. Good on you. We don't know the price yet, but it's a chance to take a look at the almost complete Tales of the Valiant. If it's not too expensive, I might pick it up and share it with you guys. But there we go. We finally have some new news on Tales from the Valiant. Very exciting. Okay, moving on to other companies out there. From our friends over at Fantasy Flight, they've just announced a new expansion for the ever-growing world of the Arkham Horror role-playing game. Now, if you've never had a chance to play this board game, not role-playing game. Arkham Horror card game board game is huge. Huge. Like, it's huge. This is actually for the card game, not the board game, but the card game is also huge. And this is an expansion. It's called The Circle Undone. It adds a whole bunch of new stuff to the ever-growing world of the Arkham Horror card game. If you've never seen an Arkham Horror game played and how big it is, I mean, I talk about how big Gloomhaven is. Arkham Horror is also big, but it's separated amongst several different boxes. So they did the same thing, but in a different way. You bought the basic set, then you buy the expansions if you want, or if you're not. Even the basic set laid out can complete a picnic table, no problem. And if you get one or more expansion sets, you're talking full on whole table, and it just keeps growing. It's a huge, ever expanding board game, card game world. Very interesting, fun to play. If you can sit down and set aside for 3 or 4 hours. Very intense, very fun, very Arkham Horror. But obviously a little pricey. So if you've been following the Arkham Horror card game, here's a new expansion for it. Excellent. Now we've got some news from Modifius in regards to Endsong, a new expansion for the Corvus Bell Infinity line. What is Corvus Bell Infinity? Corvus Bell Infinity line is a skirmish miniature game set in an alternative future. Then they also made a role-playing game set in the same world. And right now we have a new expansion coming out called Ensong. And it looks like it is available for purchase from the Modifius Mophidius website, also from the Corvus Bell Infinity website. What do we know about it? And we know that it's unleashing a brand new reality onto the world of Corvus Bell Infinity. The Archon and the Cerberus have fallen. The combined army has overwhelmed the main objectives, and all parts of other things with names that mean nothing to me, or probably you, are just horrible space disastery stuff. I mean, look at this picture. We just town destroyed. Everybody running around. Apparently, fashion in the Corvus Bell future is very uniform. They're all sort of dressed the same. This lady's saving a baby. Save my baby. This guy has no hands. And I guess that's supposed to be, look at me, Lois Lane, I'm running, explosion. And then we've got this as the cover. And then it comes with a figure specifically designed for the scenario, adding all sorts of new stuff to your Corvus Bell Infinity armies for both the war game and the role-playing game. It's nice that the war game and the role-playing game sort of intermix with each other. Stories from the board game affect the war-playing world. Stories from the war-playing world affect the board game. There's other companies that do this too, so it's always nice to see the fun. I mean, it must be just so hard from a creator's point of view to tell the two separate stories and then find ways to interconnect them. And finally, we have the announcement of a new role-playing game from Magpie Games. Magpie Games also, who I believe is currently under the Modifius umbrella, if I remember correctly. They have a role-playing game coming out called Defiant. Defiant is an urban fantasy game where modern-day supernatural creatures deal with the everyday trials and tribulations of being in the 2023 world, plus the secret organizations that are out to get them, and the secret politics behind the scenes of the world of the supernatural, and how they go about hiding from the normal everyday world, and the usual modern day supernatural storyline. Sounds very familiar. You can play an angel, a diva, tiefling, an infernal, or a leviathan. And these are all different things. No vampires, strangely enough. Now, if the name sounds familiar, Defiant. Remember, there was a TV show called Defiant. There was a short-lived role-playing game based in that world, but this is completely separate. This is a modern-day, ultra-modern-day urban fantasy about rebelling against the destiny and protecting the world from the evil forces, and think John Wick, but with vampires and ghosts and stuff. Somebody once said that if you wanted to see a perfect example of what Vampire the Masquerade would be, it's the John Wick movies. Just imagine, instead of it, being John Wick, it's a vampire, but the politics and the secret societies and the secret hand signs and the gold things and all the trades and the whole secret world that exists behind the real world in John Wick is a perfect example of how people would picture the world of like Vampire the Masquerade or this type of game if it actually existed. I mean, Underworld kind of does it too, but I think John Wick does it better, even though it's not a supernatural game. Though, actually, maybe it is supernatural, because there's stuff that John Wick gets away with that can only be defined as supernatural. Anyways, that's it. If any of those sound interesting to you, let me know. You can pick those all up at your friendly local game store if you happen to have one. And we'll be back on Monday with more comfy tabletop role-playing game news. If you appreciate this, let me know. If you never want to hear me do this again, let me know. Until then, have a great day, and I will talk to you on Monday.